We are here live on Innovation Realized 2018 in Amsterdam, and we're just finishing up our meeting with some the biggest businesses in the world, some startups, and a lot of our people talking about innovation and talking about the future and what could happen. And my name is Mark Weinberger. I'm the Global Chairman and CEO of EY, and the ending piece of our program was Yuval Harari. And Yuval did a masterful job of capturing the audience. So I'm fortunate to sit here in conversation and ask him a few questions. So what I would like to start with is just generally we know that technology is changing the way we interact with each other, it's changing the way we buy things, it's changing our social environment, it's changing culture. What do you think are the biggest changes going forward that we're going to have to look at?
Well, in the long run, the biggest change of all will come from the merger of information technology with biotechnology. At present, we still see two different revolutions. One revolution in information technology with machine learning and AI and big data and all that. And at the same time, we see a different revolution in genetics, in brain science and so forth. Once these two revolutions merge, you will get the ability to redesign life. And that will be the biggest thing, not just in human history, this will be the biggest thing in biology since the very beginning of life.
See, and Yuval, you are one of the clearest thinkers, and first of all, one of the very few people I know who is an incredible historian, but also a futurist, and actually thinks through what's coming next. And I love, you used quotes before in your TED Talks, in your books, about technology is not determinative. Actually, humankind is determinative.
Yeah.
So how are we going to interact in those things, and what could humankind do to have a positive outcome?
Well, every technology can be used in many different ways. If you think about the last great technological revolution, the Industrial Revolution, you see that the same technology of steam engines and electricity and trains could be used to build communist dictatorships or fascist regimes or liberal democracies. So electricity doesn't tell us what to do with it. It's our decision. And it's the same with AI and bioengineering and genetics and all that. It's up to us to decide what to do with them.
Well, it's comforting to know that we have some impact, but obviously this is coming so fast. And you've talked a lot about the previous industrial revolutions. What's different about this one with technology being so prevalent and probably some of the speed at which it's coming at us?
It's not just the speed, it's the object that we are dealing with. All the previous revolutions were about the world outside us. We learned how to control and manipulate the world outside us, how to dam rivers and build roads and bridges and cut down forests and build cities and all that. But we had very little control over the world inside us. This revolution, it will of course also continue to change the world outside, but the really big thing is that for the first time we will have real power to control and manipulate and redesign the world inside us, inside the body, inside the brain, to create eventually new life forms, completely new kinds of life, such as cyborgs, which are beings that combine organic with inorganic parts, and even completely inorganic life forms. We haven't seen anything like that in 4 billion years of evolution, but we might see in the next century or two.
Well, that's amazing, and Yuval, you've talked a lot about too how technology has left us in a better place than we were in history. We have less people in poverty, we have less wars, less destruction by outside. Sometimes ourselves are most destructive to ourselves is the way you talk about it. As you look forward and describe this future though, how do we work together globally to try and deal with it? Because you've talked eloquently about nationally and locally, we can't fix all these problems. In fact, no matter how good we are in one place, somewhere else could screw it up for us. Yeah. So what is your thought about how do we get together globally and address these big and difficult issues?
I think we need two things. First of all, to bring these questions to the top of the human agenda, to just be aware that the biggest problems we face are nuclear war and climate change and technological disruption. Everything else is just side issues. And then we need to be aware that you cannot solve any of these problems on a local or a national basis. So I'm not saying let's have a world government, not because it's bad, but simply because it's unrealistic. We are not going to have a world government anytime soon. What we can have is national politics which is engaged with global problems. I mean, yes, you have a national government and you have a national parliament and national parties, but what are the main problems that they are engaging with? They don't have to be the local problems. Just as you have religious parties which think about religious questions, not necessarily economic questions. So similarly, you can have global parties, which are national parties, but they think mainly about the global issues of the day.
Well, that's helpful because, as you say, you're not predicting anything. You're describing what are potential outcomes from what we're seeing coming forward. And you've talked about some of the potential threats. What are some of the opportunities that you see going forward with technology and the advancements?
Well, the opportunities are enormous. I mean, really beyond our imagination, because we can even change our imagination with the new technologies. Advances in healthcare, for example, could within 20 or 30 years give every person on the planet better healthcare than the richest billionaires get today. You can live in some remote village and get better diagnostic tools on your smartphone than the richest person today gets in the most sophisticated hospital. And this is an amazing development. I often depicted as somebody who sees everything as black, as a pessimist, but no, I mean, technology has amazing potential. I mostly talk about the dangers because the private sector focuses on all the promises, and that's natural. This is how you draw the investors and the engineers and so forth, and then it becomes the task of the social scientists and the historians to warn about the dangers. But these are just dangerous possibilities. These are not prophecies of doom that we're all going to die in 50 years in a robot rebellion or something like that.
No, you're very clear about that in your conversation. So maybe my last question then would be, you did mention business does have a slant of trying to talk about all the great things we do to try and advance our causes. What should business do? What should our role be in helping to define the parameters of where this technological revolution goes? I mean, we always talk about what's possible, but we don't always say what we should be doing. We talk about what we could be doing.
Yeah, I think that business leaders should understand two things. First of all, the political system in most countries is far more ignorant about the technological development than the business community. So you can't really expect the governments to do something about these big issues because they understand far less than you. And secondly, it's very dangerous to trust just market forces to fix the problems. I mean, this became the mantra in the late 20th century with neoliberalism that you just have to make money and market forces will take care of everything else. It's not going to be good enough in the 21st century. So I think it's really the responsibility of market leaders, of business leaders, because politicians are not going to do it. They need to take this extra burden and create positive visions for the future of humankind. And you do see it in some places, like in Silicon Valley. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that the visions coming out of Silicon Valley are perfect or good, but at least somebody has a vision. I mean, in Washington and New York, you got the impression that nobody has any vision for the next 30 years. At least in Silicon Valley, somebody is thinking about the question, where will humankind be in 30 years with AI and genetic engineering and all that? So I would say if you don't like the vision of Mark Zuckerberg or the vision of Larry Page, don't spend too much time criticizing that vision. Come up with a positive vision of your own to compete with it.
Thank you. It's almost unfair to all of you to only give you 10 minutes of Yuval's time. He spoke for an hour to our team, and they could not stop asking questions. Absolutely incredible to have a historian and a futurist, someone so plain-minded and tells great stories to bring it forward. Yuval, thank you so much for being here.